Hi there, and good afternoon. I'm John.
I'm Zen. And I'm Julie.
We're with C Nation, and you are tuned in to the 50 Days of Cannabis podcast, where we examine the cannabis laws in each of the 50 states.
Oh, hold on, John. You missed one.
I did. The District of Columbia is also included in this. We just thought 50 days sounded a little better than 51. Today we're looking at the cannabis laws in Colorado. The Centennial State was the first state to legalize cannabis for recreational use. It has some very straightforward cannabis laws for adults 21 and over, but it's not the wild, wild west free-for-all some envision. Zen, tell us about possession in Colorado.
Adults in Colorado may possess up to 1 ounce or less with no penalty.
That's awesome.
Possession of more than 1 ounce but less than 2 in public or otherwise is a petty offense with a maximum fine of $100.
Still not bad.
But petty.
Possession of more than 2 ounces but less than 6 ounces is a misdemeanor between 0 to 12 months in jail and a maximum fine of $700. Person charged with possessing more than 6 ounces but less than 12 can be charged with a misdemeanor between 6 to 18 months in jail and a max fine of $5,000.
Wow.
All right, if you've got 8 or more ounces, that's considered intent to distribute.
What does intent to distribute mean? Please explain that.
Intent to distribute usually entails telling things like scales and Ziploc bags and the product being broken down into smaller amounts.
That makes sense.
Smaller amounts of cash, lots of cash.
That makes sense.
So if you've got 8 ounces or more in Colorado, it's considered intent to distribute. So possession of more than 12 ounces is a felony in Colorado, punishable between 1 to 2 years in prison and a maximum fine of $100,000.
Oh, wow.
So it's interesting. I mean, they've legalized adult use. I mean, we've been over to Colorado a few times. It's pretty cool over there. It is the, if you haven't been to Colorado, I'm telling you, it's the real deal over there when it comes to
I haven't yet. I have not been there yet.
Adult use cannabis sales. But it's interesting because it seems like, 8 ounces isn't that much. I mean, when you're talking about legalized amounts of cannabis or a state, I mean, this is a state that has hundreds of thousands of pounds of cannabis sold every year.
To get a good
dispensaries.
visual on what 8 ounces is, imagine 8 sandwich-sized Ziploc baggies mostly full.
I just think it's strange that suddenly 8 ounces can't be possessed for any other reason except for selling it. This is an adult use state. You can grow 6 plants at home, and you can keep 100% of the proceeds. Mm-hmm. That will exceed 8 ounces. Guaranteed. Are they setting you up?
Sounds like it.
It feels terrible. Anyway, tell us about medical.
Medical's been legal in Colorado since 2001. The patients in Colorado can possess up to 2 ounces of cannabis and may grow as many as 6 plants, with 3 or fewer being mature.
Well, that's not too bad.
Yeah, that's plenty. That's plenty. Plus, I think they can have up to 2 ounces. Is that right? 2 ounces in their possession. And I know there's crazy things now that deal with how many edibles they can have and how many concentrates and blah, blah, blah. It's all pretty generous over there, even their medical program. It's interesting. I mean, Colorado's a fairly populous state, not enormous, but they have only about 95,000 registered medical cannabis patients there, and that's in 16 years of their program. I wonder how their adult use marketplace has impacted that. I mean, if you're a medical patient, you have to jump through some hoops. You have to get a doctor's recommendation. You have to buy a green card, etc. Your cannabis card. The trade-off is you do get cannabis a lot cheaper at the dispensaries because there's almost no tax on it. It's just like a 1 or 2% tax, and it is a lot cheaper. And sometimes they have products for medicinal patients that they don't have for adult use. But I wonder if a lot of medical patients, when their green card's expired, or they're just like, I don't really care. I'm not going to go through this anymore. I'm going to stay out of the state's database. I'm going to, I'm not going to go see my doctor and pay for that. I'm not going to do this, that, and the other. I wonder if those numbers are a little. I don't know, 95,000 medical patients doesn't seem like an awful lot over 16 years of having a program, and it was one of the first programs in the country. So, anyway, just an interesting thought. Jules, how about them growers and sellers?
Yep. The unlicensed sale or distribution of 4 ounces or less of cannabis is a misdemeanor, punishable between 6 to 18 months in jail and a maximum fine of $5,000.
Yikes.
The sale or distribution of more than 4 ounces but less than 12 ounces is a felony, punishable between 6 to 24 months in prison and a maximum fine of $100,000. Distribution of more than 12 ounces but less than 5 pounds is a felony, punishable between 2 to 6 years in prison, maximum fines ranging $500,000. More than 5 pounds but less than 50 is a felony, punishable between 4 to 16 years in prison, and a maximum fine of $750,000. The sale or distribution of more than 50 pounds of cannabis is a felony, punishable between 8 to 32 years in prison, and a maximum fine of $1 million.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's talk about those growers. Adults 21 and over, like John had mentioned, you can grow up to 6 plants, but 3 or fewer mature without a penalty. The unlicensed cultivation of more than 6 plants, but less than 30 is a felony, punishable between 6 to 24 months in prison and a maximum fine of $100,000. The unlicensed cultivation of more than 30 cannabis plants is a felony, punishable between 2 to 6 years in prison and a maximum fine of $500,000.
Can't even make $500,000 off 30 plants. Oh,
Yep.
It's crazy. It's just not worth it.
Nope. This is where we get real serious, right?
Yeah, we do. And Colorado got real serious too when it talks about their school zone laws.
We applaud.
We do. And Colorado is fairly typical when we talk about school zone laws. Schools and school bus areas are considered their school zone. So like your kids are sometimes standing out on the side of the road and that's where the bus picks them up. That's considered a school zone as well as on the bus. Rightly so. We're pretty down with that. Their 1,000-foot includes possession with intent, delivery, sale, and manufacture of cannabis. So not straight possession. Obviously, you can have an ounce in Colorado with no penalty as an adult. But that 8 ounces or more, that's that possession with intent. All of this is 8 years. Mandatory sentence in Colorado. And I guess that's the trade-off. If you're going to live in a state that has legalized adult use, you can expect somewhere on the other end of those laws, they're going to balance this out a little bit. I mean, we see some harsh penalties, 16 years in prison for 5 pounds. That's not that much cannabis, but I guess they're saying, look, fly under the radar, you're getting an ounce, you got all these dispensaries on every freaking corner of the state. Colorado's got dispensaries like crazy, almost like California, but they got them everywhere. That's the trade-off. You can get all the cannabis you want legally, but possess more than this, sell more than that, grow more than this, do it in these specific zones. We're going to treat you very severely because we feel like we've been very generous on the other end of this equation here. So, anyway, like Julie always says,
be an adult.
Yep.
Don't sell to
responsible.
kids.
Don't sell to kids. Don't have kids selling for you. We don't need to say anything more about it. You are informed about Colorado school zone laws. For a more comprehensive look at Colorado's cannabis laws, please visit us at cnation.com and click on the state-by-state link.
Remember, you have rights if you're arrested for any cannabis-related reasons. You have the constitutional right to remain silent until your attorney is present. If you don't have an attorney, ask for one.
Holla.
This is Zen
And Julie.
And John.
with C Nation, bringing you a snapshot of the cannabis laws in Colorado. Be safe.
Stay forward!
Yeah, what they said. The 50 Days of Cannabis podcast is a copyrighted production of the South American Gold Corporation.
We appreciate your likes and shares on social media.
Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at CNation Channel.